Hello, and welcome to Fraud Stoppers. Pay close attention because you're about to discover a proven way to save time and money and increase your odds of success suing the banks for mortgage and foreclosure fraud. And at the end of this video, you'll learn how you can make money helping others do the same. But first, to clear up any confusion, let me tell you what Fraud Stoppers is not. Folks, we're not a law firm. We're not pretender defenders who only care about making a buck. And we're not some investment company pushing short sales in order to buy your house for pennies on the dollar. Fraud Stoppers is a national private members association that provides cutting-edge litigation support products and services to law firms, foreclosure defense advocacy groups, and pro se litigants fighting foreclosure and mortgage fraud. You see, we founded Fraud Stoppers because when we discovered the truth behind the mortgage fraud and foreclosure fraud the too big to fail banks were committing, we knew something had to be done. After all, the federal government wasn't helping homeowners. In fact, they gave the banks over $30 trillion in banker bailouts. State governments weren't helping either. 49 state attorney generals promised not to prosecute the banks for fraud in exchange for $50 billion. And don't get me started on lazy, lying lawyers, pretender defenders, charging large retainers for shuffling papers in order to buy time or submitting loan mod applications. You see, with no help from the federal government or lawyers, homeowners are forced to navigate a foreclosure rescue industry that's full of rip-off artists peddling worthless appraisal fraud audits and other software-generated crap that can't even be used in court. Let me ask you this, what's worse, the too big to fail banks committing mortgage fraud and illegally foreclosing on homes, con artists scamming homeowners out of their hard-earned money, or governments giving the banks trillions of our dollars and a get-out-of-jail-free card? Listen, I'd like you to do me a favor and put yourself in the position of the average person facing foreclosure. What are your options? You could try to sell your home before you run out of time. That's if you have enough equity. Then again, if you owe more than your house is worth, your bank will have to agree to a short sale. But there's a good reason why they would rather foreclose on you than do something like that. On the other hand, if you're looking to save your house, you could ask your bank for a loan modification or repayment plan. But again, there's a good reason why they would rather foreclose on you than do something like that. And don't take my word for it.
The country's largest mortgage servicers have been battered in the headlines and on Capitol Hill for allegations of robo-signing and using fraudulent documents to foreclose on homeowners. But that could be just the tip of the proverbial iceberg with the servicing industry. A little reported and little understood aspect to the foreclosure crisis, claim consumer advocates, is that foreclosure is in fact a lucrative profit center for the servicers who are making millions off a laundry list of fees. The banks who service home loans dispute this, but we've been talking to homeowners across the country who say their servicers push them into foreclosure instead of working with them to modify their loans.
Or if they do give you a modification, it's supposed to lower your payments for a period of time and then come back up to where they were. It lowers your payments for a period of time and then they triple. Miss one payment after modification, they foreclose instantly.
Now, as a last resort, you could try filing bankruptcy, keys for cash, or just walking away from your home. Listen, folks, if none of these options sound good to you, then Fraud Stoppers has what you're looking for. Look, did you know that according to one federal audit, 83% of mortgages that were examined contained breaches of contract, legal violations, and fraud? Did you know these legal violations could stop a foreclosure dead in its tracks? It's true. In fact, it only takes $35 worth of errors to stop a foreclosure sale. And again, don't take my word for it.
If you've ever signed a mortgage, you know it's lots of pages of small type. You're told to sign here, initial here, and then you walk away confused. But the experts say in most cases, the documents contain errors, and even the smallest mistake can give someone in foreclosure the upper hand.
All I need to find is $35 worth of mistakes to cancel a mortgage in defense to a foreclosure.
$35.
That's correct.
How easy is that to find?
It is very easy to find.
Too good to be true? Ask the Mosby family. Foreclosed on, they contested using the Federal Truth in Lending Act, won in court, and in an extreme case of turnabout, they were awarded their house mortgage-free.
I've just never imagined that it would end up like this, ever.
Did you know that in addition to making money pushing people into foreclosure, banks and servicers are routinely missing important documents required by law to foreclose on properties in the first place? As seen on TV, 60 Minutes aired an episode called The Next Housing Shock that exposed the fact that banks and servicers are not only missing documents, but they've been caught red-handed forging fake signatures on counterfeit documents to illegally foreclose on innocent homeowners.
Back when Wall Street was using algorithms and computers to engineer those disastrous mortgage-backed securities, it appears they didn't want old-fashioned paperwork slowing down the profits.
This was back when it was a white-hot, fevered pitch to move as many of these as possible.
When you could make a whole lot of money through securitization, and every other aspect of it could be done electronically, keystrokes. This was the only piece where somebody was supposed to actually go get documents, transfer the documents from one entity to the other. And it looks very much like they just eliminated that step altogether.
Simoniak's mortgage had been bundled with thousands of others into one of those Wall Street securities traded from investor to investor. When the bank took Simoniak to court, it first said that it had lost her documents, including the critical assignment of mortgage, which transfers ownership. But then there was a courthouse surprise.
They found all of your paperwork more than a year after they initially said that they had lost it.
Yes.
Did that seem suspicious to you?
Yes, absolutely. And what do you imagine? It fell behind the file cabinet? Where was all of this? We had it, we own it, we lost it, and then more recently, everyone is coming in saying, hey, we found it. Isn't that wonderful?
But what the bank may not have known is Lynn Simoniak is a lawyer and fraud investigator with a specialty in forged documents. She has trained FBI agents.
Did you ask for copies of those documents?
Yes.
And what did you find?
When I looked at the assignment of mortgage, and this is the assignment, a copy from my case, I looked at even the date they put in, which was 10/17/2008, was several months after they sued me for foreclosure. So what they were saying to the court was, we sued her in July of 2008, and we acquired this mortgage in October of 2008. It made absolutely no sense.
Curious, she used her legal training to go online and researched 10,000 mortgages.
Then I began to find the strange signatures.
One of the strangest signatures belonged to the bank vice president who'd signed Simoniak's newly discovered mortgage documents. The name is Linda Green, but on thousands of other mortgages, the style of Green's signature changed a lot, and even more remarkable, Simoniak found that Linda Green was vice president of 20 banks, all at the same time.
All within the same week. I mean, this is a very, very active person.
Where did all those documents come from? We went searching for the Linda Green, and we found her in rural Georgia. She told us she's never been a bank vice president. In 2003, she was a shipping clerk for auto parts when her grandson told her about a job at a company called Docs, D-O-C-X. Docs, once housed here in Alpharetta, Georgia, was a sweatshop for forged mortgage documents.
They were sitting in a room signing their name as fast as they possibly could to any kind of nonsense document that was put in front of them.
Docs and companies like it were recreating missing mortgage assignments for the banks and providing the legally required signatures of bank vice presidents and notaries. Linda Green says she was named a bank vice president by Docs because her name was short and easy to spell. As demand exploded, Docs needed more Linda Greens.
So you're Linda Green?
Yes. Can't you tell?
Chris Pendley worked at Docs at the same time and signed as Linda Green.
When you came in to Docs on your first day, what did they tell you your job was going to be?
That I was going to be signing documents for using someone else's name.
Did you think there was something strange about that in the beginning?
Yeah, it seemed a little strange, but they told us and they repeatedly told us that everything was above board and it was legal.
And your previous experience in banking?
None.
In legal documents?
None.
There really were no requirements for the job?
Correct.
You had to be able to hold a pen?
Hold a pen.
But you were signing these documents as if you were an officer of the bank.
Correct.
How many banks were you vice president of in a given day?
I would guess somewhere around 5 to 6.
What were you getting paid for this?
I'm embarrassed to say, $10 an hour.
$10 an hour, that's not much for a guy who's vice president of 5 banks.
Yeah, I was very underpaid for my status in the companies.
Pendley showed us how he signed mortgage documents as Linda Green. He told us that Doc's employees had to sign at least $350 an hour. Pendley estimates that he alone did $4,000 a day. This is also Linda Green. Shawana Kreit worked at Doc's and says that she both signed and notarized the mortgage documents. What was the role of the notary?
We were to make sure that everyone on the